What are the implications of that? Well, what we're very bad at is actually discriminating in relation to people's learning ability. So what I'm not saying is that people with mild learning disabilities cannot benefit from pre-vocational training or qualifications. But it's a very narrow band of people who can. You don't have to go far towards the left-hand side of this in terms of cognitive disabilities, memory and other aspects of learning disability, where those kind of ordinary training approaches don't work. So, a lot of the stuff we do in college, a lot of the stuff we do in pre-training can work, but only for the right people. So on the right-hand side you have here, where somebody has, let's say, a mild learning disability, certainly pre-employment training is possible. Verbal instruction and demonstration is possible for those people, but you'll have to use simpler language. You might have to take longer for that person to learn something. Certainly people will operate very happily on naturally occurring, circumstances we all work on to motivate us to do the job. The occasional praise, thank you very much, the occasional few quid in your wage packet. And also they'll work on reinforcement and as we all do, the help that we get from co-workers. You might need a bit of work in managing the pressures of work and a little bit of negotiation around that. And you might have to kind of work with mentors to shape people's social abilities just to fit in with the workplace. But qualifications certainly are a possibility, and they will help in job and career development. But as I say, you don't have to move too far to the left before you absolutely need the elements of supported employment on the left here to be successful. In relation to learning jobs, this would mean absolutely the availability of a job coach to work with somebody on site. The whole panoply of elements that are called systematic instruction. Your job coach or your supporter being able to break down the tasks of a job into smaller parts. Being able to knowledgeably chain those together, so you chain bits and put them together, so that the person ends up being prompted by the chain of events rather than by somebody standing next to them. Using a hierarchy of cues, so that at the beginning you start with a lot of powerful input support to the person, but fading it away so that the person ends up independent on the job. Managing praise possibly for some people, and reinforcement a little bit more closely. So you might have to put more effort into reinforcing and motivating the person. You certainly will have to be proactive in problem solving, and Mike Callahan has written so much on this almost as an art form. The key thing is we so often say, right, we put you in a job, we don't support you properly, it doesn't work, so that's your problem, you weren't good enough to do it. You didn't have the skills. Rather than saying, we didn't find a proper way to support you. That puts the onus back on the supporter to figure it out, to figure another way of doing it. And Mike's given us a lot of tools to be able to figure out how you do that in the least obtrusive way. You may need for this group more job adaptation, and you may certainly you can certainly get qualifications, but they have to be much more about observing what people can do in the workplace and accrediting them that way, rather than pen and paper exams or anything else. So it is possible, but it's not the key thing in terms of getting people into work.